We will see few more programming from today onwards. So in the last session, we have discussed how can we define the variables and how can we assign the value for those variables and how can we print the values for those variables. And we have discussed about the printing statement also with the help of system.debug method. Now, let's write few more programming here. Now I'm defining one more application, small program. Write an Apex program to store the customer details. To store the customer details. So nothing but I would like to define some variables in order to store some values of a customer, like as some customer ID, customer name, and the customer address, and the active status of the customer, and the customer's date of birth. I would like to store all this information. So for that, here I'm going to be defining the different types of variables here. Now I'm defining the variable, the customer ID, and everything. Let's go to your execute anonymous window. I'm using the developer console. Inside this developer console, I'm using that execute anonymous window. In order to go to that execute anonymous window, we have to use a shortcut that is Control E. Or else we can go to that execute anonymous developer console, go to the debug menu on the top menu bar, and then expand that debug menu. And inside that menu bar, you will be having that open execute anonymous window. Simply we can click on that. So now you can able to see what are the code that we have implemented in the previous session. Now, so now here I'm defining my customer details. For that, I'm defining that integer variable, integer, customer ID, string, customer name, and along with that, I would like to store the address of the customer, address, and then I'm storing the email ID of the customer also. For that, I have defined these three variables. And then Boolean active status. Boolean active status. Nothing but active status may be either yes or no. So nothing but true or false. So for that, here I am going to be using that active status. After that, I would like to store the customer's date of birth. So now for that, date of birth is nothing but the date value. So that I'm defining a date variable here. Date of birth. Date of birth. Now, so for that, here I'm using the date of birth variable here. These are the various variables that I have defined. So not just I have defined these variables. This is nothing but the variable declaration. And then whenever you are defining the variables, each and every variable will be having the default value as null. It may be an integer, it may be a string, it may be the date, it may be the boolean, whatever. By default, the value is null. Now, I don't want to store any null value. I want to assign some value over here. For that one, I'm assigning that value. Excuse me. Now, the assignment, nothing but I'm assigning some value this way. Now, then how can we assign the values? Let's see. For the customer ID, I'm assigning some value. Customer ID equals to So 10001. This is a numerical value so that we can able to assign the value directly by using assignment operator. Customer name. Now customer name is nothing but a string value so that we have to enclose that characters inside a single code. So now I'm giving the customer name as some Prashant Kumar. And the address. Address is also a string value here. So for that, I'm going to be enclosing inside that single quotation. Now the address value. Address is some Srinivasa Colony, Kukatpalli, and then Hyderabad. I have given this value. And the email ID here. I'm storing that email ID of the customer. So I'm giving that email ID as prashant@some gmail.com. This is also a string value so that I'm enclosing inside that single code. Active status. Active status equals to, I'm specifying the value as true. Customer is in active status. This is a Boolean data type so that we have to assign the value either true or false. So that I'm assigning that value as true because I want to make this customer as active. Now date of birth here. Date of birth. So now how can we specify the date of birth over here? In order to specify the date of birth, we have to specify date dot new instance. Date is a ready-made class given by the Salesforce to you by default that already told you that whatever the data types we have discussed, these are not the ready-made words, these are not the system-defined words, these are not the tokens, these are classes. These are the ready-made classes given by the Salesforce because each and every functionality is in terms of available in terms of object-oriented programming. So now date is a ready-made class given by the Salesforce to you. Inside that we are having a method called as new instance. If you want to prepare a date, like it may be 1981, it may be 1990, it may be a specific date which is a past or it is a previous, whatever. So now in order to specify that date, we are using a method called as data.new instance. Now assume that here we have to specify the three parameters: year, month, and the day. Three values we have to supply. Based on that, it is preparing the date value by default to you. Now I'm passing that value some 1990. The month value is some 10 and the day value is some 21. I have assigned that value. Suppose if you want to specify the joining date, assume that today is the joining date here. I'm specifying that joining date also here. The customer's joining date. I'm specifying that joining date. Joining date equals to system dot today. I'm using the today function. Already you are aware of this today function during that formula fields. During the formula field, we have discussed about a function called as today function, which is going to be returning the today's date to you. So now I'm using that system data today. Now, so now for that here I have defined the variables and then I have assigned the value for those variables here. Now once you have assigned the value, then print the values of that variable. In order to print those values, I'm using the printf statement, sorry, system.debug statement. System.debug, customer ID is, I want to use customer ID value. System.debug, customer name is customer name. And the address is address. System.debug email ID is email ID. System.debug active status is active status. System.debug customer joining date. I want to display that joining date here. System.debug customer date of birth. I'm displaying the date of birth value. So now here, this is the way we are defining the variables, we're assigning the value, and then we are printing the values of those variables. Now let's execute this code. Now, as of now, everybody is feeling comfortable with that defining the variables, data type, and the assigning the values and the printing the values. In order to print that values, we are using that system.debug method. In that debug method, we can able to directly print the value, or we can able to print the value along with some message also, so that the user can able to understand clearly what exactly this value. So for that here, we can able to use a string, and then we can able to append that the value which you are going to print. Now click on execute. Now the code has been sent to the server first.com platform. Now the first.com platform is executing your code, and it is generating that log file to you. The debug log file is opening for you right now here. Now the debug log file has been opened for you. Now simply select that debug only checkbox. Now it is providing the information about the customer ID, customer name, and the address of the customer, email ID, and the active status. Everything will be getting available to you over here. So now what are the details that you have printed? All those details are available to you by default inside that. We can able to see the result inside that, the debug log file. So now this is a way we can able to define the variables, we can assign some values, and we can print some values as well. Now let's see one more program over here. Now write a program. Write an Apex program to perform arithmetic operations. To perform arithmetic operations or the mathematical operations. So now what needs to be done here? I want to perform the arithmetic operations, addition operation, subtraction operations, multiplication operation, division operation, and the calculating that remainder operations also here. Then how can we perform this operation? In order to perform this operation, what we want some two values. In order to store some two values, then what needs to be done? We have to define two variables. Now, what type of variables that we need to define? Integer, because mathematical operations can be performed only on the numerical values. So that we have to define two integer variables by which we can able to store some two values, and we can perform the operations on those two values, and we can display that result as well. Now, for example here, how can we perform this operation? Now let's see. I'm defining the variable integer first number, second number. Integer first number, comma second number. And I'm defining one more variable result, which is used to store the result of that operation. Now, whenever you are defining that integer variables or any variable, then don't define the variable with the name like as X, Y, Z, ABC, X, Y, Z like that. Don't give any names here. Please give a proper meaningful name. By observing the name of the variable itself, you can understand what kind of functionality that we can do with the help of this variable. What is the functionality of the variable can be defined or described inside the name itself. By observing the name itself, we can understand some information about that variable, what we can do, what type of variable it is, for which purpose we have defined that variable. You can understand that. So for that here, in every organization, in every company, you will be having some coding standards and the naming conventions document will be there. Now we have to follow that coding standards and the naming conventions. So for that here, because everybody's way of thinking is different, everybody's way of writing the code is different, everybody's style is also different. So at that time, if everyone is following their own style of writing the code, then in future, other members cannot able to understand my code. No, other members code I cannot able to understand because my way of writing the code is different and their way of writing the code is different. And then at that time here, there will be some collision. There will be some ambiguity will be getting arise. So for that here, every company will be having some naming conventions or the coding standards, which they have defined and which we have to follow. Each and every member inside that organization has to follow the same naming conventions and the coding standards. The coding standards maybe depends upon the company, nothing but company to company, that the document will be different. Project to project, the document will be different. And the client to client, the naming conventions will be different here. It depends upon the need. So now for that here, we have to give the proper meaningful name. Don't define the variables like as X, Y, Z. If you're doing the practice with the help of integer X, comma, Y, comma, Z, then when you're moving to the real time also, you will be writing the same variable name X, Y, Z. But the other people doesn't know what is a variable X, why you have defined that, what we are doing with that. So for that here, please give a proper meaningful name. So now here I have defined the two variables with the name first number and the second number. And the one more variable I have defined with the name result, which is used to store the result of that value here. Now, once you have defined that values, then we have to assign the value for that variable to perform some mathematical operation. Or else both the variables will be having the value as null by default. So at that time, with the null, whatever we can do, one nothing but whatever the operation you're performing, the same result it will produce to you. So for that here, I'm going to be assigning some value. First number equals to some 100. Second number equals to some 25. I have assigned some value for this variable. Now what I want to do, I want to perform some mathematical operations. So now what is the first mathematical operation? Addition. So for that I'm using that result equals to first number plus second number. Nothing but whenever you are performing the addition on the two values, then the result will be getting produced, and that result I'm storing inside a result variable. Now, once the result has been getting produced, then I would like to display that result here. System.debug addition result is, I'm printing that result value. Addition result is the result value here. Now, after that, I want to perform one more operation here. What is that? Subtraction. For that, I'm using result equals to first number minus second number. Now, once the operation has been performed, it will be producing a different result to you. So that I would like to display that result as well here. Subtraction result is, I want to display that result value. Now, so now in this case, here what we are doing, I am using that system.debug statement in order to display the result of that operation. For that, what we did, we have defined a separate variable result. In that variable, we are storing the result of those operation, and then this result value we are displaying over here. Now tell me, do we have any optimized way to write this code? Can't we simplify this code into a single line? If possible, then yes. How? So now this result equals to what? Result means what? First number minus second number. Now instead of defining a separate statement, why can't we replace this whole part inside this particular place, result place? Instead of writing one more line of code, because we are having some number of characters limit is there inside our Apex programming. Because we can able to write maximum of 30 lakhs characters only inside your Apex programming. So that always you have to try to write the code in the generic format. Always try to write the code inside that the programming with the help of that optimized way. Nothing but try to reduce the number of lines of code so that we can able to write some more functionalities also, because Salesforce is having that limitation that we can able to write maximum of 30 lakhs characters of X code inside your entire organization. So now for that here, now we are doing one more operation here. Here not I'm not defining that result variable again here. System.debug multiplication result is, now here itself I am performing that operation. First number into second number. See the way of different way of writing the code here. So that in the first two ways, nothing but in the first way, first operation we have used 2 lines of code. For the second operation also we have used 2 lines of code. But the third operation I'm using only 1 line of code here. Nothing but here we can able to reduce the number of lines of code also. We can reduce the number of characters Apex code also here. So for that here always you have to try to reduce the number of lines of code. If you keep on doing the practice, then you will be getting that you will be getting the information, you will be getting the idea how can we reduce the number of lines of code. What is the optimized way of writing the code? Everything you will be getting the information. But practice is very, very important. It's not the theoretical concept, it's a purely the practical concept here. Now, I'm performing the division operation now. Division operation result is, I'm performing the division. First number by second number. And then I want to perform the remainder over here. Modulus result is, in order to perform that operation here, we are using that method called as math.mod. In that math.mod, we have to pass the 2 values based on which you would like to find out the remainder value here. First number, comma, second number. In order to calculate that remainder value, we are using that modulus operator here. Now this is the way we can able to write the code. Now for the first 2 operations, I'm using 2 lines of code. For the remaining 3 operations, I'm using a single line of code. Nothing but we are always trying to be reducing the number of lines of code. Now, so for that here, in order to perform this mathematical operation, we have defined 3 variables of type integer, and then we have assigned the 2 values for those variables in order to use to perform the operations. And the third variable result we have used to store the result of those operations, and we can display those results values as well. So now here I'm performing all these operations. Once you have written this code, then click on execute button to execute that code. Click on execute. The request has been sent to the server. Now the Salesforce server has processed the request. It has generated the response also here. Nothing but the debug log file also has been generated for you. Now select the debug only checkbox. It is giving the result to you. Addition result is 125. Subtraction result is 75. Multiplication result 2500. Division operation result is 4. And the modulus result is 1. Like that here we can able to fetch the result of those operations also, and we can able to print those results also on your debug log file. So this is the way we are going to be writing the code, small programs inside your Apex programming language. Now, next one. Write one more small program here. Now we are writing one more program right now. Are you feeling comfortable with the programming? Everyone?
Yes, Feroz.
Okay.
Yes.
If you are feeling any difficulty, then let me know here. Okay. If you are not able to understand any of the statement, then let me know immediately. Because from now onwards, everything is the programmatical part only here. Now let's write a small program here. Write an Apex program to calculate the simple interest. To calculate the simple interest. Now everybody is aware of this formula during our childhood itself. So now, in order to get that, you will be having a specific formula, the PNR by 100. Now you will be having that operations here. So nothing but what happened, we have to use a formula called as PNR by 100. So this is the formula. P means what? The principal interest. So the principal amount. N means this is nothing but the term, the duration, and the R means the rate of interest. Okay, the rate of interest. So nothing but what happened, we have to store the values of rate of interest and the term and the principal amount here. In order to store these values, how many variables that we need? 3 variables that we need. In order to store the result, we need another variable here. So that totally we need 4 variables of type integer. So now I am going to defining those variables here. Integer, principal amount, rate of interest, and the term and the interest amount. I'm defining a variable with the name interest amount in order to store that interest value over here. So now we have to perform this operation. Now use that formula. So before that, I'm going to be assigning some value over here. Principal amount is some 20,000. Rate of interest equals to some 3%. And the term equals to nothing but the tenure. It will be some 2 years. So now we need to calculate that principal amount here, the total interest amount here. For that, I'm using that interest amount equals to nothing but the result I would like to store inside that interest amount variable. Now I'm using that formula, principal amount into the rate of interest into the term and by 100. Now the PNR by 100 here. So now here, once the operation has been done, I would like to get the result, and that result I would like to display to you on the debug log file. So for that, I'm using system.debug method. Interest amount. Interest amount is, I would like to show that value. Interest amount value here. So now this is a way we are going to be writing the code. Now define the variables, assign the values, perform the operation, display the result. These are the 4 steps are there in every application, in every program also, whatever. Now, let's execute this code. Now it has sent the request to the Salesforce server. It has loaded that log file to you. Select the debug only checkbox. It is giving that information that interest amount is 1200. Okay, the interest amount value is 1200. So whenever you are changing the principal amount value, the rate of interest, automatically the interest amount value is also will be getting changed to you. Now, so now this is a way we can able to write some small programs inside your Apex programming here. Now, I'm giving some programmings to you as the assignment. I'm giving some assignments to you so that you can do some practice over here. And the first assignment, write an Apex program to store the details of a product. For example, product ID, name of the product, and the unit price, and the quantity. Now, this is the information here. Define the variables, assign some values, and print the values of this product's information. The next one, write an Apex program to calculate the total and average marks of a student for the 5 subjects. So this is my second program. Nothing but what you need to do, we have to get the marks of 5 subjects and then perform the operations on those values to calculate the total marks and to calculate the average marks. So for that, what happened? We need the 5 subjects. Now all these subjects will be having some marks. That marks will be nothing but a numerical value. So that we have to define 5 variables of type integer. And after that, we are going to be calculating what? Total marks and the average marks of that student. So that to store the total marks, I would like to use a variable, nothing but the total variable, nothing but the total marks variable. This is also type in integer. And then average marks. Now we can able to define one more variable, that is average marks over here. Total is 7 integer variables that you have to define, and then assign some value for the marks, and then perform the operation and calculate the total marks and the average marks. Now, the third one, write an Apex program to convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Write an Apex program to convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Now, in order to convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, you will be having some formula. Now, use the formula and then perform that operation. The next one more program. Write an Apex program to convert the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius. From Fahrenheit to Celsius. Now try these 4 programs here today so that you can feel comfortable with that. From today onwards, every day I'm going to be assigning some tasks to you so that you can do some practice on that. Not only the examples which we have discussed inside the class, you have to do your own examples also here so that you feel comfortable with the programming and you will be getting some more information. While writing that code, if you're facing any difficulty, then no problem, and then try to resolve that problem here. Upon executing that code, if the first time itself, if you're able to execute the code successfully, then you won't get more information. If you're getting more errors, then you will be getting more information on that. So then you will be getting some more knowledge also for that. Okay, now the next one here. Now, for example, previously we have implemented a small program in order to perform the mathematical operations on that values. In order to perform the mathematical operations on these values here. Like this is the program that we have implemented right now. So now we have defined some values, first number, second number, and the result. And then I have assigned the first number value as 100, second number value as the 25. I have performed all these operations and I'm able to display the result as well here. Suppose, for example, if I'm changing the second number value as 0, now at that time what will happen? I'm executing the code up to the multiplication operation here. I'm executing that code up to the multiplication operation. Division operation, modulus operation, I'm not performing right now here. Now I'm selecting only this statement to execute that code. Click on execute highlighted button. Now the request has been sent to the server. Salesforce has processed the request. It has generated the response to you here. Now select the debug only statement. It is providing the result as addition result is 100. Nothing but 100 plus 0, so that 100. Subtraction result is also 100. Multiplication result is 0. Nothing but if you're dividing or if you're multiplying the any value which is 0, the result is a 0 always. So now it has performed all these 3 operations. It has produced the result for us. Now I'm executing the division operation also here. Now let's execute this code. Observe what will happen in this case. Click on execute highlighted. Now what happened? It is giving some message to me here. It is giving some error message to me that when coming to the division operation, it is unable to perform the division operation here. What is the problem? System.math exception divided by 0. Nothing but what happened whenever you are trying to be dividing that value by 0, then it is giving some error message to you here. If something by 0 means what? Infinitive. Infinity is not any integer variable here. We don't have any specific data type to define that integer variable. What type of value it is, we don't know. So for that here, when coming to that Apex programming, it is going to be raising an exception. Nothing but, what do you mean by an exception? Exception is nothing but an undesired behavior of an application at runtime. Whenever you are trying to be executing your application, at the time of runtime, if it is unable to perform any certain operation, it will be facing some issue. That problem is called as an exception. Now, exception is nothing but an undesired behavior of an application at runtime. Undesired behavior, nothing but an unexpected behavior of an application at runtime. Not at the time of compilation, at the time of runtime. While running that code, up to some statement it has executed properly, but right now it is trying to be executing the one more statement, but because of the execution of that statement, it is causing some issue. It is facing some problem. So now that problem is called as exception. So now then how can we resolve this exception over here? 0 is also an integer variable. I have assigned that second number value as 0, but whenever I'm trying to performing the division operation, it is causing some issue here. Then how can we resolve these kind of problems? So what is the solution to resolve these kind of problems here? So now for that here, in this kind of scenario, whenever you are trying to performing the division operation, if you are performing the division operation by using the second number value as 0, it is causing that issue here. Now for that, what needs to be done? I don't want to execute this division operation if the second number value is equals to 0. Why? It is causing some issue. Nothing but something by 0 equals to infinity value. Okay. If anything by 0, like as 100 by 0, 200 by 0, 4000 by 0, whatever, it will be giving the value as infinity. Infinity is nothing but what? We don't know what type of value it is. So for that here, it will be causing some issues to you. So for that here, we don't want to execute this division operation whenever you are trying to be executing that operation with the second number value as a 0. So now for that, what we can do here? How can we ignore the execution of this division operation statement? So now how can we ignore that here? So for that here, we are going to be using the conditional statements. Nothing but what happened? What do you mean by conditional statement? Conditional statements are used to execute some set of statements based on a condition. Nothing but what happened? If I am going to be executing this division operation by using that second number value as equals to 0, it is causing some issue here. So for that, what needs to be done? I need to add a check. I need to add a condition over here before the division operation. I would like to add a condition here that I would like to cross check if the second number value is greater than 0, then only perform this division operation, then or else don't perform this division operation here. Why? Because is if the second number value is equals to 0, definitely it will be causing some issue called as divided by 0 exception. So further what happened, if the second number value is equals to 0, then I don't want to perform this division operation. If the second number value is other than 0, then I want to perform this operation here. So further what happened, we need to decide whether we can execute the statement or not at runtime. Based on what? Based on that second number value. Then how can we decide? Further we have to use conditional statement. By using that conditional statement, we can able to change the flow of execution of your application. Whatever the code that we have written, whenever you are executing that code, the code will be executing in the same flow, in the same order, whatever you have written, in the same order. But what I want to do is, whenever if the second number value is equals to 0, then I don't want to execute the division operation. I want to skip the execution of the statement. I want to jump from multiplication or multiplication operation to modulus operation here. Nothing but what I'm doing, I'm changing the control flow of execution of my program. I'm changing the execution flow of my application here. So for that, we are using that conditional statements. So now what exactly the conditional statement? Now let's see practically here. Now we are discussing about the concept of conditional statements. So what do you mean by conditional statements? Conditional statements are used to add the filters which decides the control flow of the execution. So now by using this conditional statement, what we can do, we can able to execute the statement based on some conditions. So now by adding some conditions, we can able to decide whether this statement can be executable or not. Do we need to execute this statement or not here? So further we can able to specify that. So now, for example here, assume that I am a person, I would like to apply for the voter ID card. So further what needs to be done? What is the conditions to be get satisfied? I need to satisfy two conditions to apply for the voter ID card. One is I should be the citizen of India. This is the first condition that I need to satisfy. And the second condition is I should have minimum 18 years of age. Nothing but these are the two conditions has to be get satisfied over here. So now at that time, if I'm satisfying these two conditions, then only I will be eligible to apply for the voter ID card. If any of the condition has not satisfied, then I'm not eligible to apply for the voter ID card. Nothing but these conditions are deciding whether I'm eligible to apply for the voter ID card or not. Now suppose for example, if you are having some bank account, in your bank account you are having some 5,000 rupees. Now you are trying to be withdrawing some 6,000 rupees here. At that time what happened? First of all, it will verify whether you are having the sufficient funds inside your account or not. If the sufficient funds are available, then only we can able to withdraw or you can transfer to some other person. If the sufficient funds are not available, then you cannot perform that operation. Nothing but what happened, we are going to be adding a filter. I'm adding some check. Before performing that operation, it is verifying whether do you have the sufficient balance or not. Now, so like the same way here also, before performing that operation, I would like to verify whether that second number value is greater than 0 or not. So now at that time what happened, by adding that conditions, we are going to be deciding whether these statements can be get executed or this statement needs to be get ignored. So for that we are using that conditional statements. So now conditional statements are used to execute the statements based on the conditions. By adding the conditions, we can able to decide whether these statements has to be get executed or not. So now when coming to the conditions, how many conditions we can add? Multiple conditions also we can able to add. Then how can we add these conditions here? What are the various conditional statements available in our Apex programming language? Now we will see. Now Apex programming provides the below conditional statements. The first one is if conditional statement, and the second one is ternary operator. These are the two conditional statements has been given by the Salesforce to you as part of Apex programming. Generally, when you go to that C programming language or C++ programming language or Java, you will be having the same if condition statement, ternary operator, and then you will be having that switch statement also. You will be having that switch statement also here. Now, when coming to your Apex programming language, you don't have this switch statement. Switch statement is not available in our Apex programming language. Switch statement means the case statement here. Switch statement means the case statement. Now the case statement already we have discussed during that formula fields concept. There we have discussed about the image function, and then we have discussed about the case function and everything we have discussed over there. Now inside your Apex programming language, we are having only two conditional statements. One is the if condition and the second one is the ternary operator here. Now, what exactly the if conditional statement? What is the syntax of the if conditional statement? How to use it? We'll see practically here one by one. Now the first one, if conditional statement. So now this if conditional statement is used to execute the statements based on the certain specified condition. Based on some certain conditions, I would like to verify whether we can able to perform this operation or not. Now suppose for example here, let's assume that I'm having a login screen. I'm having the Gmail's login screen. In this login screen, it is asking me to provide that username. It is asking me to provide that username. When I click on next button without providing that username, then what will happen? It is giving a message to you, please enter the email. Nothing but please enter your username first so that we can verify with this name, do we have a customer is exist or not? Then I will provide the text box to enter the password to you. Nothing but what happened? First of all, we have to enter that value here. Nothing but there is a condition is there which is going to be verifying whether the user has entered some values or not. If the user has entered some value inside this username field, then only it will be verifying with the database. It will compare with the database values. If nothing is there, then no need to compare with the database here. So further, it is giving that message to you that please enter the email ID or please enter that username. So now like the same way here also, we are going to be writing some conditions here. Now, by using if conditional statement, we can add one or more user defined conditions. We can add one or more user defined conditions before performing the operation. Before performing the operations. Apex provides the below four formats of if condition. Apex provides the below four formats of if conditional statement. The first one is simple if condition. The second one is if else statement. Third one is else if statement. And the fourth one is nested if condition. These are the four formats are available inside your if condition here. If condition is providing the four formats to you over here. The first one, we'll see each and every format one by one. Simple if condition. In this simple if condition, it will be providing a syntax to you here. It is providing a syntax to you that we can verify this condition here, specify the if, and then inside that you can able to specify one or more number of conditions. And inside that block, we can able to write the code which needs to be get executed here. Write the statements. Not only one, multiple statements we can able to write. So now what exactly the functionality of this simple if condition here? So now the user can able to add the conditions for what? In order to verify whether this statement can be get executable or not. Nothing but what are the statements that you have written inside this. These statements will be getting executed whenever whatever the condition that you have specified, these are satisfied. If the specified conditions are satisfied, then only it will be entering into this block, and whatever the statement that you have written, these statements will be getting executed in one by one here, whatever the order that you have specified. Whatever the condition that we have specified, if these conditions are not satisfied, then we cannot able to enter into this block. We cannot execute this statement over here. Nothing but what we are doing, we are going to be indicating to the Apex programming, please execute this block of statements whenever these conditions are satisfied. If the conditions are failed, then don't execute this statement. Don't allow the user to enter into this block. So now for that here, we are going to be writing this code over here. Now, upon executing that statement, we can able to specify this condition. Now, in this case, what will happen here? In this approach, if the specified conditions are satisfied, then it will enter into the block and will execute the statements. It will execute the statements. Now, while specifying the condition, the user can specify one or more number of conditions also. Not only one condition, here we can able to specify the multiple conditions also here. Now, the user can specify one or more conditions. Now, whenever you are going to preparing the multiple condition, then how can we club the multiple conditions together? In order to club that multiple conditions together, we are using that logical operators. Logical operators means what? And, or, and not. These are the three logical operators here. Now we can club the multiple conditions together by using logical operators. Nothing but and, or, and not. By using these logical operators, we can able to club these multiple conditions together. Whenever you are going to be writing the condition, each condition should follow the below syntax. Every condition should follow the below syntax over here. We have to write that syntax here. We have to specify the variable name and an operator and a value. So now this is the syntax we have to follow right now here. For example, account name not equals to empty. Rating value equals to some heart. Annual revenue is greater than some 10 lakhs. And the active status equals to some yes. And the industry equals to some banking. Like that, we can able to specify the multiple conditions also. Nothing but the first number equals to second number. Second number is greater than 0. Like that, we can able to add your own conditions, depends upon your need. Depends upon your need, we can able to specify these conditions over here. Now, what are the condition that you want? Depends upon your need, we can able to specify those conditions. Not only one, multiple conditions also we can able to specify inside that. Then how can we verify these conditions? Now let's see practically here. So now in this case here, okay, in this case, I'm facing some issue with the help of, because of this particular second number value is equals to 0 here. Now what I want to do is, I don't want to execute this statement here. When if the second number value is equals to 0. So for that I'm adding a condition. If second number value is greater than 0, then only perform this operation. Nothing but write that statement which you want to execute here. These two statements I'm writing inside that block. Now what will happen in this case? Whenever it is trying to be executing this division operation, first of all, it has to come across through this condition here. In this condition, it has to verify second number value. What is the second number value? 0. Now 0 is greater than 0. Is it condition is true? No, condition is false. 0 equals to 0. 0 is not greater than 0 here. So for that here condition is false. If the condition is false, it will be coming out of the block here. If the condition is true, nothing but if the condition is satisfied, then it will be entering into the block. It will be executing the statements, whatever we have written inside this block over here. So now for that here, each and every condition will be having only one possible result. Either it may be conditions are satisfied or the conditions are failed. If all the conditions are satisfied, it will be returning the true. If the condition is true, it will be entering into the block, or else it won't enter into the block over here. So now for that here, upon executing these statements, we are going to be adding that condition. If the condition is satisfied, then only I would like to allow the user to perform this operation here. Now let's execute this code here. For example, I'm entering that second number value as 10. Now let's verify this code. Click on execute button. The whole code I'm executing here. Now the second number value is greater than 0, nothing but second number value is 10. 10 is greater than 0, nothing but condition is satisfied. So that it will enter into the block, it will perform the division operation as well as the modulus operation also both. Now when you go to that result, verify that debug only, it will be giving the result of all these operations to you. Addition result is 110, subtraction result 90, multiplication result 1000, division result 10, modulus result 0. Nothing but all the results will be getting provided to you. For example, if the second number value is equals to 0, then what will happen in this case? Now second number value is 0, then this condition will be getting failed, so that it won't execute these two statements which are written inside this block. Now click on execute button. The code has been executed without any errors. Now at that time, when you select the debug only, it is providing the result of only these three operations to you: addition, subtraction, and the multiplication result. Division operation and the modulus operation result will not be getting result provided to you because those statements are ignored from the execution process. Why? Because the second number value is equals to 0, which will be causing that error message, which will be throwing some exceptions. So further, to avoid that problem, we have added that condition. That condition is not allowing us to execute those two statements here. So now this is a way we can able to write the conditional statements in order to ignore the execution of those statements to you here. Okay. Now this is the information of the simple if condition. Clear up to now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, the next one here. For example, come to this case. Now, the user has entered some value here, like as the first number and the second number. It may be 0, it may be anything, whatever. The user has entered some two input values. But how many values he is expecting as a result? 5 values he is expecting as a result. What are those 5 values? Addition operation result, subtraction operation result, multiplication operation result, division operation result, and the remainder operation result also here. All these 5 values he is expecting as a result. But he got how many values as a result? 3 values only here. Then what will be the thought of the customer? The customer will thought of the application is not working fine. But actually the problem is not from with my application. The problem is with the customer side itself. The customer has entered the second number value as 0. Because of that, we are not able to perform those 2 operations. That's what we are unable to show the 2 operation result. The problem is not from our application side. The problem is from the user side. User has entered some invalid information to us. So for that, we are unable to go ahead to perform the division and the remainder operation. So now in this kind of scenario, what happened? Even though the mistake may be done by that particular customer also, my application has to give some information to the customer that mistake is not from my side, the mistake is from your side. It has to show. Then the customer can realize and he can able to provide the exact result, exact input values to us. Then how can we give this information here? If it is providing only 3 values as a result, but the user is expecting 5 values as a result, so at that time he will be thought of our application is not working properly here. The application is not designed well. Then what we can do here? Even though if the operation is maybe able to perform, may not be able to perform, I would like to show some message to the user here. Then for that here, what I want to do is, if the division operation is not able to perform, then it has to show some message to the user that division operation cannot be performed. We are unable to perform the division operation because you have entered some invalid input, that is second number value as 0. Then how can we provide that here? Nothing but if the second number value is greater than 0, then I want to execute the statement, I want to display the result. If the second number value is equals to 0, then I want to display some message to the user. Nothing but what happened. If the condition is satisfied, I want to execute some different set of statements. If the condition has been failed, I want to execute some different set of statements here. So for that here, I would like to use one more format of if condition right now. The second format of if condition is if else statement. If else statement. Now, so now even though here, observe this one. For example, I'm using any of the application, whatever we have. I'm using some Naukri portal. Okay, I'm using some Naukri portal. Inside this Naukri portal, I'm logging into that. It is providing that email ID and the password 2 fields to me. Now the user has to enter his credentials. I'm entering my credentials. Now here, I have entered the wrong password. If I'm entering the wrong password, then it has to show some message. The problem is not from the application side, the problem is from the user side. From the user side. We have given some invalid username and the password. Nothing but what happened, even though if it is unable to allow me to enter into that application, it has to show some message to the user here. Then the user can understand what exactly the problem, why he is not able to enter into the application here. When I click on login, it is giving the message to me over here. Nothing but invalid details, nothing but please check the email ID and the password combination which you have entered. Nothing but what happened, even though if it is not enable us to enter into that application, it is going to display some message to us here. Now, the problem is not from the application side, the problem is from your credentials side. So please enter the valid credentials. Like the same way here also, if the operation is able to perform, then it can able to perform that operation. If the operation is not able to perform, then it has to show some message to the user here. So for that here, we are going to be using that second format of if condition, if and the else part. So now what is the syntax of this statement over here? So for that we have to specify if, we can specify the conditions. And then, so now, as soon as whenever you are going to be specifying the conditions, if all the conditions are satisfied, it will be entering into this block, it will be executing these statements here. True block statements. If the conditions are false, then it has to come to that else part over here. In this else part, we are going to be writing that false block statement. False block statements. Not only one, we can able to write the multiple conditions also here. So now the first block is called as a true block, nothing but this block is called as a true block here. And this block is called as a false block to you. Whatever the condition that you have specified, if all the conditions are satisfied, then it will be entering into the true block, and whatever the statement that you have written, all those statements will be getting executed for you. Whatever the conditions that you have specified, if the conditions are failed, at that time, it will be entering into that false block. Nothing but this is a false block. In that false block, whatever the statement that you have entered, whatever the statement that you have written, all those statements will be getting executed one by one. So for that here, we can able to display the result, or we can display some error message also to the user as well by using that the if else conditions. Now, let's make a note here. If all the specified conditions are satisfied, then it will enter into the immediate block. Nothing but this is a true block, and will execute the statements. Will execute the statements. And then, if any of the condition fail, then it will execute the false block statements. It will execute the false block statements to you. Okay. If any of the condition has been failed, then it is going to be skipping the execution of true block statements. It will be executing the false block statements to you. Nothing but else block will be getting executed for you here. Now, then how can we use this if else condition? Now let's see practically here. Now the same code I'm using right now here. Now in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to performing these two operations like as separate operations. Now if the second number value is greater than 0, then I want to perform this operation. Nothing but I would like to perform the division operation. Else, I want to display that message here. System.debug division operation cannot be performed. I want to show the message to the user here. Now for the second modulus operation also. If the second number is greater than 0, then I would like to allow the user to perform this modulus operation. And else, I want to show the message to the user, modulus operation cannot be performed. Now here I'm going to be verifying these conditions over here. Nothing but if the condition is satisfied, then only execute this statement. If the condition has failed, then display the message to the user so that the user can get some idea so what exactly the mistake he did. So now for that here I'm using that if else condition statement over here. Now let's execute this code right now. Click on execute button. Even though the second number value is equals to 0, it will be producing 5 results to you here. Select the debug only. It is giving the result for the addition operation, subtraction, and the multiplication. For the division operation, it is giving the message division operation cannot be performed, modulus operation cannot be performed. Then the user will be getting some idea so what exactly the mistake he did here. So now for that here we are going to be displaying these messages to you. For example, if the second number value is not equals to 0, if the second number value is equals to some 5, then when you click on execute button, it is going to performing all the 5 operations which we have specified to you here. Now select the debug only. It is performing all the 5 operations to you over here. Addition result, subtraction result, multiplication result, division result, and the modulus result. All the results will be getting produced to you over here so that we can able to see all these operations results as well. If the values are correct, it will be performing all the operations. If the values are not correct, it will be performing only some certain operation. For the remaining operations, it is giving some error message to the user. This is a mistake that you did. So please correct the values. Please provide the input values correctly so that we can perform all the operations for you. Like that here, we can able to show some message to the user also here. For example here, why? Because we have to give the confirmation. For example, Just now I have deposited some 10,000 rupees into my account. Now what we are expecting? We are expecting an SMS. We are expecting a confirmation that my account has been credited with the 10,000 rupees successfully here. Now, if you did not get that message within some 5 minutes, then what will be your thought? Then the people will be get confused. Now the account may not be credited properly. These people are not credited my amount into my account here. So for that, what we can do, immediately we'll go to that ATM center, we'll be verifying that balance here. What is the available balance? If the new balance has been added or not, we will be verifying that. Nothing but if you are getting that balance, then you will be free. Nothing but your mind will be relaxed. Till that time, you will be in the confused state. So because here everybody is expecting some confirmations here. So for that here, we are going to be giving that confirmation to the user by providing some messages also here. So for that, we are using the if else a block of statements to you. Now, this is an example for this. Now, let's see a small program over here. Let's take a small example here. Write an Apex program to find out the biggest number from the given two numbers. From the given two numbers. From the given two numbers, I would like to find out which one is the biggest one. So now for that here, I'm going to be using that statement here. First of all, we have to define those two variables, assign some value, and then use some code and verify which one is the biggest one. So for that here, I'm using that two integer variables I'm defining right now. One is the first number. Second one is the second number. First one is the first number. Second one is the second number here. I'm assigning some value. First number equals to some 234. Second number equals to 120. I have assigned some value. Now my requirement is I want to find out which one is the biggest value here. For that, I'm using that condition. If a first number is greater than second number, then what is that result here? What do you want to display? First number is the biggest one. If the first number value is greater than the second number, then the first number will be the biggest one. Else, I want to show the message system.debug. Second number is biggest one. So now here I have written a condition in order to verify that values here. Now if the first number equals to, the first number is greater than second number, I'm printing that message as first number as the biggest one. If the condition is failed, I'm displaying the message to the user as second number is the biggest one. So now let's execute this code right now here. Execute the code, see the result, select the debug only checkbox. Now it is giving the message as first number is the biggest one because the first number value is 234, so that this will be the bigger value than the 120. Now I'm going to the code. I'm making the second number value as 2120, nothing but 2120. First number is 234, second number is 2120 here. Now let's click on execute button. It will be displaying the result to you. Select the debug only checkbox. It is giving the message second number is the biggest one. Because first number value is 234, second number value is 2120, so that second number is the biggest one, so that it is giving that message second number is the biggest one. So now this is the way we can able to write the code by using that conditional statement. Now, So now whatever the code that you have written by using this, inside this execute anonymous window, this code will not be saving inside your metadata repository. This code will not be saved inside that. We have to save this code into our local systems. Okay, you can maintain a notepad, we can able to save into that. This code will not be saving into the metadata repository by default to you. Now for that, we have to create the classes. Inside the class, we have to write this code. For that, during that object-oriented programming, we are going to be discussing what exactly the class, how to define the class, how can we write the code, how can we save the code into that metadata repository over there. And the next one. And after that, we are having two more formats of if conditions are available here. The third one is the else if condition. And the fourth one is the nested if condition. So now we will be discussing these two statements in the tomorrow's session. And along with these statements, we will be discussing about few more features of Salesforce, that is iterative statements. What exactly the iterative statements? What is the use of iterative statements? What are the iterative statements are available in our Apex programming language? We'll see practically in tomorrow's session. Okay, the basic concepts are very, very important, so that don't miss that sessions, because some people may be from the non-technical background, so that you can understand, you can able to understand each and every feature over here.